Teraz przechodzimy do części merytorycznej, jeszcze bardziej merytorycznej. I poproszę pana André van Warenberga, floor is yours, przewodniczącego Rady do spraw pośredników Europejskiej Federacji Pośredników Ubezpieczeniowych BIPAR, żeby opowiedział o wpływie dyrektywy IMDII na pracę pośredników ubezpieczeniowych.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Adam, I am very impressed. I knew that you were an important and honorable man, but I am more aware than ever that your real dimension is huge and greater, and I will inform BIPAR how chance or lucky we are to have a collaboration with such a man as you. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to address your 10th anniversary conference on behalf of BIPAR. I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me to update you on the last development of a very important revision of a key text concerning the intermediary, the IMDII. We have been working closely with all our member associations, but certainly in particular with the representative of the Polish Chamber of Insurance and Financial Intermediaries over many years now. It's a directive from December 2002, and let's say from many years now, the first steps for its revision have been taken. I think that, for example, in 2005, Nelly Cruz, in charge of the DG competition at the European Commission, launched the famous inquiry on the business insurance industry, and it is one of the starting points of the revision we are busy with today. But before, very briefly, I would like to remind you what BIPAR is and what BIPAR is doing, as the revision of the IMD is not the only show in town. BIPAR is the European Federation representing gathering insurance intermediaries in the EU. The BIPAR headquarters, located initially in Paris, moved to Brussels in 1889, thus allowing us to monitor very closely the all-important EU development. BIPAR is today composed of 51 national members associations from 32 countries. 32 countries, it means the 27 EU countries plus Norway, Switzerland, Turkey, Israel, and Lebanon. We represent 80,000 insurance agents and brokers through the EU. BIPAR is also a member of the WFII. The WFII, the World Federation for Insurance Intermediaries. They represent 80 associations representing 1 million intermediaries around the world. We represent the WFII represents the intermediation of the 5 continents. Today, over 2/3 of all new regulatory proposals affecting our profession are coming from Brussels, with the role of the national regulator being often limited to the transposition, the implementation of this directive and regulation adopted by the European Union. And this is where BIPAR is playing a crucial role for each and every one here. Here, the challenge lies in representing the interest of practitioners from 27 markets, soon 28, with Croatia joining us in July. We have to defend and to speak with a single voice vis-à-vis the civil servant and the members of the European Parliament, It's not easy to have a single voice, a single point of view. If you look at the 27 markets, you have major markets, you have emerging markets, you have agents, you have brokers, you have mass markets, you have the business markets, life, non-life, etc. So we have to try to speak with a united voice to defend and to promote our profession. What are the issues on BIPAR current agenda? The IMDII revision is our main issue, but the IMDII II revision is related to MiFID II, is related to PRIPS, they are somewhere, the PRIPS, the package retail product with an investment element. You have also the KITs, the key information document. As you know, a directive is transposed. You have minimum harmonization of maximum harmonization, it depends. Concerning IMDII II, it will be a minimum harmonization. But for example, the KIT, the key indication document, will be a reglement. Reglement, how do you translate?
Regulation.
Yeah, and it means that a reglement is compulsory in each and every country. You haven't the possibility to adopt it, taking into account some local specificities. So, I won't develop other crucial issues, potential crucial issues, as a potential new directive on insurances guarantee schemes, for example, the public procurement with or without authorized involvement of intermediaries, the harmonization of insurance contract law, very important if you wish to develop a European market in free of service, all the fiscal tax aspects, the VAT, etc., etc. You have the VAT, the VAT, FTT, IPT, and so on. This morning I will stick to the Commission proposal for a revised IMDII II. I will give you a brief description of the main change brought by the IMDII II proposal, and that will give you a first idea of the regulatory conditions under which insurance intermediaries will have to develop their business tomorrow. Okay, the proposal of the Commission was published on the 3rd July 2012. This proposal is not the final text, far from. The text will be discussed and will be adopted by the two EU legislators, on one side the European Parliament and on the other side the Council of Ministers of the EU. It's a long, sophisticated and difficult process. If you want, I can give you some explanation about that. This morning, the IMDII II proposal is in discussion in Strasbourg within a specific commission of the European Parliament, the Commission Econ, very important, and they are discussing the conclusion of the rapporteur. There is a rapporteur on each proposal. The rapporteur is Werner Langen, a German Christian Democrat. So it's an important day today, but there are many, many others important days during this difficult and sophisticated process. The idea, the goal is the adoption should take place at the end of 2030 or early 2040, with an entry into force most likely 2015 or probably early 2016. And then it's foreseen there will be the directive, they will have to review the directive 5 years after this entry into force. What is at stake? The Commission proposal introduced, amongst others, first, new rules mandating prior to the conclusion of any insurance contract the disclosure of remuneration by intermediaries without today, in the existing state of the proposal, an acceptable level playing field with insurers. Secondly, extra requirements are also proposed for life insurance product with investment element, the famous PRIPS. Extra requirement covering sales standard, conflict of interest, and a ban on remuneration from providers for independent advice. During the discussion at the European Parliament and at the Council, stricter rules could be introduced, such as a ban on commission for non-life and life products. A third serious concern is that according to the Commission proposal, insurance intermediaries are required at the moment of registration to take attitude to disclose whether they represent the customer or act for and on behalf of the insurance undertaking on one side, and that is a real breach with the existing business model in our industry. Secondly, whether they provide any type of advice about the insurance product sold. Okay, IMDII in a nutshell. First point, the scope of the proposal of the Commission. The IMDII proposal not only applies to insurance intermediaries, but also to all distribution channels. The direct seller, insurance undertakings, the banque assurance, and so on. And will cover also provider of after-sales services, surprising, such as claims adjuster, loss adjuster. Other market players who sell insurance product on an ancillary basis. I think about the case of the travel insurance policies sold by a travel agent, for example, or the general insurance policies sold by car rentals companies or leasing companies are another example. They are now included in what is mentioned as a proportionate manner in the scope of the proposed IMDII. The existing de minimis exclusion from the scope in IMDII remains nearly unchanged. We speak about sales of insurance policies ancillary to sale of goods. The proposal mentioned goods instead of in the IMDII the product or services. It's no more product or services. We spoke about goods, and you know there were an annual premium limit of 500 euro. Now it becomes 600 euro. One of the recitals of the proposal specifies also that certain activities of insurance aggregator website constitute an insurance mediation. Second point, the registration and professional requirement. The proposal leaves those points largely unchanged. We speak about appropriate knowledge and ability, professional indemnity cover, financial guarantee, and so on. You have to know that the Commission consider that our industry has to improve the existing technical ability, technical knowledge, the education, the training of our people. They consider that taking into account the more and more sophisticated contents of the products, our industries are to invest in education to match the requirement to give the correct information and the correct advice to the customers. Among the new requirements are the obligation for intermediaries to disclose links or arrangements with other persons, such as shareholders or members, and third aspect, to declare generically at the moment of registration whether they give advice or not and work on behalf of the insurer or the client. Information requirement, a crucial point. The IMDII proposal restates the IMDII disclosure requirement, as well as, concerning information requirement, the large risk exemption, as you know, adding one for professional customers as defined in the annex of the proposal. The IMDII introduce also a new general principle for intermediaries and insurers, that they should act honestly, fairly, and professionally in the best interest of their customer. They have to address all information, including marketing communication, in a fair, clear, and not misleading way. Now, a new battlefield concerning the Commission and the position of BIPAR. It concerns new rules mandating, prior to the conclusion of any insurance contract, the disclosure of remuneration by intermediaries and partly by insurer. In non-life and life, the Commission proposed that the intermediary, not the insurers, disclose the nature and the basis of his remuneration and whether he received contingent commissions. Concerning contingent commissions, he has also to disclose their amounts. Regarding the disclosure of the amount of his remuneration, the Commission make a distinction between life and non-life products. For the sale of life insurance product, there is a mandatory full disclosure regime. It means that the intermediary will have to disclose the amount of his remuneration in relation to the contract offered, or if not possible, the basis of his calculation. This regime will start its application from the adoption of the IMDII. For the sale of non-life insurance product, a non-request regime, it is on customer's request, is envisaged for the remuneration of non-life product. That's to say that the intermediary will have to disclose the amount of his remuneration in relation to a contract offer, or if not possible, the basis of calculation upon request of his customers. After a transitional period of 5 years, starting from the adoption of the directive, the mandatory full disclosure regime will automatically apply for the sale of non-life product as well as the life product. This 5-year transition period will coincide with the revision of the directive. An additional aspect. The IMDII proposal also introduced a new requirement to disclose the nature and the basis of the calculation, listen, of any variable remuneration received by the sales employee of insurance undertakings and intermediaries, as well as of any payment made by the customer after the conclusion of the contract. The proposal includes a general statement strongly favoring the provision of advice in sale of insurance product, but does not make the provision of advice mandatory. Standards for sales where no advice is given are introduced. It means the relevant information that must be given in a comprehensible form to allow an informed decision by the customers. Another point is that the proposal introduces a new provision on bundling products, the packages, together, and requires that the customer be informed that the product may be purchased separately and be given certain information in this regard. Finally, extra requirements apply to life insurance product with investment element, I mentioned yet, the PIPUiF, covering sales standard, conflict of interest, and a ban on commission for independent advice. As I already mentioned, this proposal is not the final text. At the end of the day, the Parliament and the Council will have an agreement, a compromise of the final text. That won't be the end of the story, because the proposal requires the Commission to adopt delegated acts. Delegated acts are a kind of secondary regulation niveau with more details. And the field where there could be delegated acts are mentioned in the proposal. They are the notions of adequate knowledge and ability of the intermediary, the management of conflict of interest and transparency, the conduct of business obligation in relation to insurance package retail investments product, the PIPUiF, as well as implementing technical standards regarding procedures and forms for submitting information in relation to sanctions. At this moment, I do not want to go into details concerning BIPAR position regarding the proposal of the IMDII, but just to highlight our main concerns. Firstly, the mandatory full disclosure regime, of course. Secondly, the ban of commission for independent advice. We are, of course, happy with the wider scope of the IMDII, all the distribution channels are concerned, but we are not happy with a real lack of level playing field. Problem with the unclear categories of intermediaries. There are now registered intermediaries, declared intermediaries, exempted intermediaries, and so on. The problem of the knowledge and ability, the qualification requirement. The disproportionate sanctions, very hard. And the absence of a real legal clarity regarding the freedom to provide services and exercise. Let me conclude. Besides adapting to the regulatory development I mentioned, I strongly believe that our greatest challenge, and it's collectively, it's the challenge of our sector, is to highlight our added value. Added value. This added value is essential for the consumer on one side, but is also crucial for the efficient functioning of the insurance market. This added value can be found everywhere, but it's variable depending on whether we are on a more standardized mass market or on business market that are accustomed to offering tailor-made products. Our distribution channel distinguished himself from all other distribution channels by its superior added value. It's my deep convictions. May the European legislature build a balanced and fair environment for intermediaries that will enable them to continue to develop for the benefit of the consumer. I thank you for your attention.